Have you ever been so angry that you filled your swimming pool with Jello? My neighbor Melissa told her daughter's wedding guests they could use my pool without asking me. So I turned it into 15,000 gallons of cherry dessert. Her face when she saw it? Priceless. Before watching full video, comment below from where you watching, also like and subscribe for more stories. I never thought I'd be the type of person to fill my swimming pool with 500 gallons of cherry Jello, but sometimes life pushes you to extreme measures. This is the story of how my entitled neighbor pushed me too far, and how I got the sweetest revenge possible. My name is Alex and I've lived in Sunny Pines neighborhood for almost 10 years. I worked hard to buy my dream home with a beautiful backyard and an in-ground swimming pool. Every summer I spent hours maintaining it, balancing chemicals and keeping it crystal clear. That pool was my pride and joy, my little slice of paradise. Our neighborhood had a small HOA, homeowners association, that mostly dealt with community landscaping and organizing the annual block party. Things ran smoothly until Melissa Wilson moved in next door 3 years ago. From day one, Melissa seemed determined to take over the HOA. Within 6 months, she had campaigned her way to becoming president. Once in power, she started creating ridiculous new rules about everything from trash can placement to what color flowers you could plant. Most neighbors grumbled but complied to avoid conflict. I tried to stay under her radar by following the rules, even when they were absurd. But Melissa always seemed to find a problem with my property, sending me violation notices for the smallest things like excessive bird feeder usage or unapproved garden gnome placement. Last April, Melissa proudly announced at the HOA meeting that her daughter would be getting married in August. She planned to host the reception in her backyard, which was directly adjacent to mine. "It's going to be the event of the year," she boasted. "We're expecting over 100 guests and we've hired the best caterer in the state." I congratulated her and thought nothing more of it until she cornered me after the meeting. "Alex, I wanted to talk to you about your pool," she said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "What about it?" I asked. "Well, since the wedding is in August and it will be so hot, I told my daughter's guests they could use your pool during the reception." I blinked in surprise. "You told them they could use my pool? Without asking me first?" "Oh, don't be difficult," she waved dismissively. "It's just for one day and it's for my daughter's special day. Besides, as HOA president, I have the authority to approve community resource sharing during special events." "My pool isn't a community resource," I argued. "It's my private property." Her smile vanished. "Listen, this wedding is happening whether you like it or not. The invitations have already been sent mentioning pool access. If you make problems, I'll make sure the HOA finds violations on your property every week for the next year." Before I could respond, she walked away, leaving me stunned and angry. Over the next few weeks, I tried reasoning with Melissa. I explained my concerns about liability if someone got hurt, the extra cleaning the pool would need, and the invasion of privacy having strangers in my backyard all day. "Those are your problems to solve," she snapped. "Just make sure the pool is clean and ready by August 15th. I consulted a lawyer who confirmed that Melissa had no legal right to offer my pool to her guests. He suggested sending her a cease and desist letter, which I did. Melissa's response? She started finding violations on my property daily. Suddenly my grass was too tall, my mailbox was the wrong shade of black, and my garden hose was improperly stored. The fines started piling up. When I appealed to other HOA board members, they sympathized but were too afraid of Melissa to stand up to her. I was on my own. 3 weeks before the wedding, I overheard Melissa telling another neighbor that she had hired photographers to take pictures of the wedding guests enjoying the reception pool area. Something inside me snapped. If Melissa wanted to treat my pool as a community resource, maybe it was time to change what that resource was. The idea came to me while watching my nephew eat Jello at a family dinner. His face lit up as the wiggly dessert jiggled on his spoon, and I thought, what if Melissa's fancy wedding guests found a giant pool of Jello instead of water? I started researching immediately. How much gelatin would it take to turn my 15,000-gallon pool into the world's largest Jello mold? Was it even possible? Turns out, with enough determination and industrial food-grade gelatin, anything is possible. I needed to be strategic. First, I put up a large "pool closed for maintenance" sign and covered the pool with a tarp, telling Melissa I was doing deep cleaning in preparation for her event. She seemed pleased that I had finally accepted reality. Then I took a week off work, claiming a family emergency. Instead, I started the process of creating the world's largest Jello swimming pool. I emptied half the water and ordered massive amounts of cherry-flavored industrial gelatin powder from a restaurant supply company. The delivery guy gave me strange looks, but I just smiled and said I was catering a large event. 4 or 5 days straight, I worked in secret, mixing batches of gelatin, carefully controlling the temperature, and slowly transforming my pool into a gigantic red Jello mold. I added extra gelatin to make it firmer than normal Jello, ensuring it would hold its shape but still have that unmistakable jiggle. The night before the wedding, I removed the tarp to let the Jello set properly in the cool night air. By morning, my pool was a magnificent, shimmering expanse of cherry red Jello. I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of what I had done. On the morning of the wedding, I heard intense activity next door. Florists, caterers, and decorators bustled about transforming Melissa's backyard into a wedding venue. I stayed inside, occasionally peeking through my blinds. At noon, Melissa came marching over and knocked forcefully on my door. "The ceremony starts in 2 hours," she said without greeting. "I need you to unlock your gate so the guests can access the pool." "Of course," I said pleasantly. "The pool is ready for your daughter's special day." Her eyes narrowed suspiciously at my cooperative tone, but she just nodded and returned to her preparations. At 2 p.m., I heard the wedding ceremony begin. By 3 p.m., the reception was in full swing. I watched from my upstairs window as elegantly dressed guests mingled in Melissa's backyard, sipping champagne and enjoying the catered hors d'oeuvres. Around 4 p.m., as the summer heat intensified, I heard Melissa announcing to the crowd that they could now enjoy the pool next door. She led a group of about 20 guests toward my backyard gate. I'll never forget the moment Melissa unlocked my gate and led her daughter's wedding guests into my backyard. There was a moment of confused silence, followed by gasps, then laughter erupting across the crowd. "What is this?" Melissa shrieked, staring at the giant red Jello pool. I emerged from my house, wearing my nicest clothes and a broad smile. "Welcome to the reception. As requested, I've prepared my pool for your special day." The bride, who had been looking upset at her mother's outburst, took one look at the Jello pool and burst into laughter. "This is amazing," she exclaimed. "I've never seen anything like it." Guests were already taking photos, some boldly touching the Jello surface with expressions of childlike wonder. The wedding photographer was snapping pictures frantically, clearly realizing he was capturing something truly unique. Melissa's face had turned almost as red as the Jello. "You've ruined everything," she hissed at me. "I don't see how," I replied calmly. "You wanted the guests to enjoy my pool, and they seem to be enjoying it immensely." It was true. While Melissa fumed, her guests were delighted by the unexpected attraction. Some brave souls even took off their shoes and stepped onto the firm Jello surface, posing for pictures as they stood on the giant dessert. The bride and groom even took photos standing hand in hand on water, as guests cheered. The Jello pool became the highlight of the wedding. Guests couldn't stop talking about it, and pictures went viral on social media. The bride later told me it made her wedding unforgettable in the best way possible. Melissa, however, was livid. She tried to fine me for unauthorized pool modifications, but the other HOA board members, emboldened by the community's support for my creative solution, finally stood up to her. They pointed out that since she had insisted my pool was available for community use, she couldn't then complain about what I chose to fill it with. Within a month, Melissa stepped down as HOA president, claiming personal reasons. The new president immediately abolished many of her ridiculous rules. Cleaning up the Jello pool was a massive undertaking that took weeks, but it was worth every minute of labor. I eventually restored it to a normal water pool, but neighbors still refer to it as the Jello pool when giving directions. Sometimes when I swim laps, I smile remembering the look on Melissa's face when she saw what I'd done. It cost me a week of vacation time and quite a bit of money to pull off this stunt, but the memory is priceless. The moral of the story? Don't mess with someone's private property, and definitely don't assume you can commandeer their swimming pool for your event without permission. Because you never know when that crystal clear water might transform into 15,000 gallons of cherry Jello. And if you're wondering, yes, the Jello really was cherry flavored. I figured if I was going to make a statement, it might as well be delicious.